G'day guys, kia ora, huidag, my name is Wildkard. Yes, the greatest rivalry tour, second game, Hollywood Bet Sharks versus the All Blacks has concluded with a one-sided affair to the All Blacks. But boys, nobody is here caring about the scoreline. Everybody's talking about Ma'a Nonu and his response to the All Blacks' traditional kamate haka with, the one and only All Blacks haka, Kampao Pango back at them. Boy, I literally could not hold back the waterworks in my eyes when I saw this. This was like a scene out of the movie. This was kind of like, maybe Luke Skywalker facing off with, Kylo Ren, if that movie has been done properly. This was like so emotionally charged. The meaning, the history, the fact that Ma'a Nonu is like one of the original All Blacks that started off the Kampao Pango, which is the official All Blacks, haka. And the All Blacks players, you can see on their faces, was like, I have never seen any All Blacks players looking like that in their faces before. It was just like, I don't know how to describe it, like fear, like astonishment, like respect, or just like mixed up into those faces. Boy, that was so good, so emotional. It was like, the Hollywood movies don't even make stuff this good anymore. It was just magnificent, right? Now, obviously, this was also a magnificent performance from the All Blacks. 54 points to nil. This was a much stronger team than last game against the Stormers. Albeit, I thought this team should probably play the Stormers and the Stormers team should probably play the Sharks. But hey, it is what it is. I guess there's some resting period and it needs to be considered for these players because they're going to be playing against the Springboks in very soon in a week's time, right? Or a week and a half. And obviously, all of that being considered, yeah, this was a pretty much one-sided affair for the All Blacks. And also, obviously, last game I did not mention that the Stormers was a B team. This has to be mentioned as well. The Sharks is pretty much a B team. And, then this was a very strong All Black team. You would expect the sort of results, almost like the full starting team out there for the All Blacks. Something that you would expect against the Springboks. And, very, very good, regardless for the Sharks putting out a pretty decent fight for the most part of the game. Now, here's the thing, right? Every time I mention the team being a B team, people say, oh, that's disrespectful. Every time I don't mention it, like I did last video, people say, you're going to tell everybody it's a B team, Wildcard. Otherwise, it's like, nobody knows why the scoreline is so big. Okay, fine, right? Bottom line, I am always wrong. That's the bottom line. So anyway, moving on. So as you can see that what I've talked about in the title of the thumbnail, I think one of the biggest problem with this game from the All Blacks perspective, I think they revealed too much of the game plan. The fact that they did put on pretty much their A team, the team that most of the players will be expecting to play against the Springboks, they revealed a lot of their strategy, whether it be just like subconsciously or like maybe they deliberately wanted to reveal it. Maybe it's they wanted to see if those strategies gonna work. But yeah, the kicking game. So the kicking game for the All Blacks in the July Test series has really transitioned from a static kicking, which is what we see a lot nowadays, especially with the prevalence of box kicking. So a lot of teams tend to do this thing where they slow the game right down and then they go for a box kick, very predictable, very structured style of rugby, and then try to force a turnover. The All Blacks transition away from that under the new management of Uncle Rennie. Obviously, Uncle Rennie do not break downs. So Uncle Rennie obviously changed out of that. There's a lot of talk about, bringing back the All Black style of rugby, the running style of rugby. And this transition into the kicking game, a dynamic kicking game from the midfield. And that has often gone to Jordie Barrett. And the kicking game that we saw in July was more of an up and under game, which is kind of similar to the box kick if you think about it. It's just like a high ball and they have wingers chasing it to try to recoup the ball. But in a more dynamic, out of midfield with more space and direction you can pick from, and then obviously other options in terms of being able to just run the ball if the kicking game becomes, the option becomes unavailable. So that has been a clear direction for the All Blacks. In this game, they've taken that to one more step. Instead of the up and unders from midfield from Jordie Barrett, they're starting to go for this really long 50-22s for something that we really didn't see that much in the July Test series. And this has been just very prevalent in display this game. And I think that's a strategy they revealed a little bit too much, because now the Springboks, will really know how to really understand this game and how they all. And you can see that there's a deliberate intent, both for a lot of the backs, not just Jordie Barrett, a lot of backs when they get the ball, whether it be in the kicking game, whether in general play, if they're just behind their own halfway line, there is, I can see people are looking for that 50-22 option. We saw Kyle Preston make a break. So it's just like, let's show you this. This is basically what I'm talking about here. This was from a scrum. And then we're going to talk about a scrum in a minute, right? This was, so scrum, you can, we're going to talk about this scrum in a minute as well. This is from a scrum, and then Jordy Barrett gets the ball. Inside is 50, inside is 40 actually. He pumps it out, looking for that 50. They did it so many times. And as a result of this, right, I think that there will be more of an emphasis for the Springboks to look out for this. And the number of times they did this, the number of, you know, the sort of pressure they put on for the Sharks with the return kick as well, made this really, really potent against the Sharks. But is this going to work against the Springboks? I am not 100% sure, because obviously the kicking game is a lot better from the Springboks. You have players like Damien Willemser, the greatest Springbok in history of Springbok, covering those sort of positions. He's probably not even going to get to the 50-22, get to this sort of situations where the ball like almost goes out, like you see here. And then also just the fact that you have players like Cheslin Kobe, the counter-attack threat is there as well. Not sure if it's going to 100% work for the Springboks, but the fact that they presented this, I thought it's just like, you know, really interesting fact to consider, right? Now we're going to talk about the scrum. We're talking about the scrum last week. We're talking about the collapsing of the scrum on the tight head side. The one thing I have to say is that the All Blacks had similar issues with the scrum collapsing on the tight head side, but they have adjusted later in the game, and they did find that scrum dominance that they were looking for. Albeit the scrum, I think the Sharks may be one of the weaker teams, one of the weaker teams in the URC. And the scrum as well show that, you know, it did show that the All Blacks got a bit taller and got a bit higher instead of flatter like they did against the Stormers. In fact, they were flatter early in the game, and they came up to meet that height to prevent that collapse. So one of the collapses we saw today as well, very similar to the Stormers game last week. Tight head, you can see that tight head, and this is not Tossie. This is who is this guy? This was Fletcher Newell at a tight head. And you can see that he's already too low before the boys even fed in. And then we saw a very similar situation from last week. But this time, I think the referee made it, unlike last week, I think the referee made the wrong decision. This time, he actually made the right decision here with the referee, because you can see that he goes down on himself. He loses the grip and he goes down on himself. It does look as maybe a little bit of pullback from the Shark side, but I don't think that was, you know, I don't think that was significant enough to be considered a deliberate pullback. Whereas if you look at the Stormers feed, you can see a clear yank here from the Stormers.
The All Blacks being offside.
Loose head to destabilize, you know, recognizing that the All Blacks were overextended on that tight head side, and then giving it a yank on the left hand shoulder to collapse the scrum. You can see that deliberate drop of the shoulder there, like we saw many times in this game, to cause that collapse. And you can see the difference is, right, it's the speed of which the scrum went down. This one here on the Sharks game, it's almost, you can see it's a slip and it's a collapse, like almost like a you can see like a pop. You can see a pop. You can see that pop here, right? And then this one, it's much less of a pop than the Sharks game. You can see how it's a pull, and then it's not a pop. There's not a pop. It's a pull, and then the play just flattens down from the pull. It's a little bit, in my opinion. This one should be a penalty, like I said last week, and this one is the All Blacks just, you know, being actually being overextended. There's a very little subtleness, and it's very difficult for the referee to tell. And obviously, with hindsight, with slow video replays, makes this a lot easier to adjudicate. But the key here, right, like I said, is the fact that the All Blacks adjusted with their height, and not having that same problem persisting through prolonged periods of the game like they did in last game against the Sharks, which was really important. The final thing I will talk about is the obvious thing of charging down Ruben Love's kicking technique. So Ruben Love, when he's closer to the goal, he just goes for the kick. Like, he would just stand still and he goes straight for it. But when he's having these longer kicks out to the sides, he takes a step back. He does a little wind up before coming forward for the kick, which means that there's more time for the charge down. So you just have a look at this and you see what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like a 5-second build-up where a player is allowed to charge him. And he only does this when he's really far out to the side. And this is probably the places where you most likely wanted to charge him down anyway, if you're like a Cheslin Kobe. Yeah, I think that's something that that needs to take note of, because I would not be surprised if the Springboks pick that up and then try for a charge down against him and get a and this is a law of the charge down in case you didn't know. As long as you make approach the ball or move in any direction to kick the ball, you are allowed to go for it right away. So yeah, anyway, with that being said, let's go through a little bit of details of some of the gameplay. Hopefully, David McKenzie's not hurt, because he looked like he landed awkwardly on one of his knee and he played on for a bit, and I think he botched both his tries, by the way. But the second try they gave it to him, but whatever. It's inconsequential, but he looked like he was hurt. And I really felt like they should have taken him off a bit earlier, because if you take him off earlier, the injury might have not been that bad, but the fact that you let him play it on for like 30 minutes, the injury actually exacerbated to the point where he cannot be recovered for the first test anymore. So hopefully he's gonna be okay. But then again, he might not be that injured, so you got to test him as well. So yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. But it did look like to me immediately like he wasn't able to walk at all, and they should have taken him off. But yeah, anyway, I thought that was interesting, and in my opinion, I thought that was that the management probably should have just taken him off to protect him for the test, because this game you don't really need him for 30 minutes, right? You can play this game without a fullback, and you're probably still able to walk away with a pretty easy win. And also, one of the tries was scored, and then the conversion was kicked, and then they called it back. I just like to remind everybody, right? There's always some discussion about, oh, they've already kicked the goal, you can't go back anymore to check the try. Yes, they can. They changed the law, and the law is called the Bernard-Foley clause. So this was changed in the Bellottas Little Cup game with Matthew Reynald, right? Telling Foley for wasting time. It's in that same game where Bernard-Foley kicked the goal to stop a forward pass being checked. So since that game, the Bernard-Foley clause was introduced so that they can check the game all the way up to the kickoff. They can all the way go up to the kickoff. So sometimes if you're a defending team, you think something's happening, you might delay the kickoff to get the TMO to check it, making sure that you actually get the benefit. So I do think that the Stormers did a pretty good job with the All Blacks has improved in the Maul defense, but the Stormers actually did a nice job on the Maul, defending the All Blacks more, not really getting the All Blacks, giving away silly penalties, and really held up to their own against the All Blacks more, which is a massive credit to the Stormers. I do think that Stormers early in the game did identify the weakness in the All Blacks breakdown. I do think there's a weakness in the All Blacks breakdown in terms of commitment, and they try to get a quick breakdown going, and so they only commit like one or two players, sometimes just one, to do the clean out. And as a result, if you try to put some pressure on there, you can get the turnover, and you can get the slow ball, and there's something that the All Blacks maybe got to expose a little bit earlier, but they couldn't. Stormers wasn't able to consistently do that. The Stormers also had Sharks. The Sharks also had a bit of a dynamic kicking out of Vusi Moyo, I think Moyo. So he played his first test for the Springboks in July. Very promising new upcoming talent. So some dynamic kicking there. Again, a new style potentially being brewed there for the Springboks. The Scrum, the Sharks held their own, and I think that there were times where the Sharks put a pretty good physicality on the All Blacks and made the All Blacks defense look a little bit tested a little bit there. So I do appreciate the efforts they put out there. And it was always nice to see that Vinny Koch, he's on the field for the Sharks. The Springbok legend, and maybe we'll see him a Springbok team at some point. But yeah, it is what it is. For the All Blacks, in addition to what I talked about before, that's pretty much it. I thought the Scrum, they adjusted, but I do expect them to be still more improvements needs to be done. Needs to get that dominance, against really had to take the step up for the Springboks there. The kicking game we're going to talk about, and I do think that the more defense is still a bit of iffy there for the All Blacks a little bit. The structure needs to be worked out a bit better. A lot of teams now, they kind of set up their own counter more right away, and then you kind of expose yourself for the dummy more. So there's a lot of things that you got to work out, like how to deal with this, and it just comes down to teams timing and getting used to each other, how your own teammates like to push and bind and so on and so forth. So still quite a bit of work to do for the All Blacks, and yeah, we'll see if that kicking game reveal is going to hurt them or not coming into the first test. So have a look at the stats of the game now. 8 tries to nil, 579 run meters for the All Blacks to 177. The game really blown away in the second half. In the last 20 minutes, the All Blacks just was running out of their own 22, just down the field with, very little resistance. 146 carries of the All Blacks, 71 for the keep calling them Stormers, but the Sharks. I keep calling them Stormers. I'm sorry, I apologize. Sharks. 25 defending for the All Blacks, 16 for the Sharks. 15 line breaks. Boy, 205 passes for the All Blacks, 83 for the Sharks. 15 offloads, 2 for the Sharks. Turnovers conceded, 18 against the Sharks, 14 against the All Blacks. Another thing the All Blacks I think did really well, I will see it in a minute, is the discipline. Let's have a look at that now. Last week was 16 penalties given out. So only 8 for the All Blacks this week. Big improvements there as well. 9 for the Sharks, so not too bad. Under 10 for any team is pretty good. No cards whatsoever, despite under tremendous amount of pressure there. Tackles attempted, 103 for the All Blacks. Only 60 missed tackle. That's okay. I mean, probably going to be single digits if they're only making 100 tackles there. 148 tackles for the Sharks. 25 missed tackles for them as well. The kicking, let's have a look at this. 34 kicks for the All Blacks, 24 for the Sharks. Let's have a look at the kick meters. Probably the most important thing. There's no meters here, but be interesting to see how many meters that there was the Jordie Barrett pumped out this game. They would have been pretty high in terms of the kicks there. 85 rucks, 1 for the All Blacks, 56 for the Sharks. 3 lost, 2 for the Sharks. So not too bad. I thought if the Sharks could apply a bit more pressure there, may have yielded some more turnovers. The breakdown lineouts, 10 All Blacks, 2 lost. 11 for the Sharks, 2 lost there as well. Not too much of a difference. 1 scrum loss for both teams, but the All Blacks did find the dominance in the second half, which is probably the most important part. The breakdown set, we've already looked at this, right? Have we looked at this? So we'll look at the discipline. So yeah, let's do a quick recap of the game before this video goes on for way too long. It's 8 tries being scored from the All Blacks. So for the first, 18 minutes or so, the Sharks actually held their own. It's really raining. There's a lot of water. And I think that the 50-22 game actually was a little bit stymied because the wet condition, the ball wasn't rolling as much as you would expect. But still, you probably wouldn't be able to find as much space if you were playing against, Damien Willemse, the greatest Springbok in history of the Springboks. But still, that aside, there was already some displays of early 50-22 attempts. I think there was a 50-22 kick from Ruben Love. 18 minutes in the game, finally felt some consistency from the All Blacks. Pretty clunky at the beginning. They went to the short side. There was a little pop from Daryl to Fihi Fanga Anofo. I can't use his last name. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call him Fihi. To Fihi, goes in for the try. 7 points to nil. 22 minutes in the game. D-Mac knocks on. Didn't score that second try. 27 minutes in the game. Jordie Barrett, again, that playmaker. It's almost like Jordie Barrett has merged with Bowden. Right, the amount of kicking that's coming out, the style of kicking is very similar to Bowden. He did some crossfield kicks, he did grubber kicks, he did 50-22s, up and unders. All sorts of kicks have come out of Bowden in this game. So there was a crossfield pass kick from Jordie to Fihi. Fihi popped the ball inside. D-Mac goes in the try. Looked like he didn't score this one, but the referee was like, yeah, can't see. Mike Adamson on the TMO, by the way. Mike Adamson. Anyway, look him up if you don't know who he is. But anyway, he said not enough evidence to overrule the on-field decision, which I thought was okay, whatever. In the second half, 44 minutes in, there was the All Blacks got held up, and then there was a penalty advantage. They went for a tap. There was a long pass from Satiti to Caleb Clark out on the wing. Caleb Clark ran in for the try, 21 points to nil. 52 minutes into the game, there was a little grubber kick from Jordie Barrett behind. The ball was towed forward by Ruben Love, and it was scooped up by Caleb Clark and passed it on to Fihi, and Fihi goes in for the try. 28 points to nil. 59 minutes in the game. There was a lot of weak shoulders, missed tackles from the Sharks. There was a nice little run down the right-hand side. The ball gets spread back out to the left. The ball went out to Jacobson. Some very good, nice backdoor play. Jacobson ran a little angle, stiff arm, a defender drawing another one and popped the ball out one-handed to Jordie Barrett. Bowden. Oh, go Jordie! Jordie Barrett goes into the corner. 35 points to nil. 61 minutes. Ma Nonu is on the field. He gave Ruben Love a nice little charge. I was like, boy, please don't hurt a little guy. Come on, Ruben Love is like a little boy compared to Ma. He just belted him. So that was pretty good. 62 minutes. The All Blacks was running out of their own 22. Quinton Tupaia gets through a little gap and he offloaded to Nadawa. Nadawa offloaded to Preston. Kyle Preston runs it down to the post with a try. 42 points to nil. 69 minutes into the game, there was a 10-meter line out for the All Blacks. Lots of piling from the short side. It looked like they tried for a more. Maybe they didn't, but it was a bit of a mess there. Eventually, they got really close to try line, and then a little pop pass to Tava Nawai into the just like 1 meter into the corner for the try. 47 points to nil. And then finally, 74 minutes. This was the final try. There was a scrum, I believe it was. There was a scrum penalty for the All Blacks, and then they built, and then they took a quick tap from the penalty, from the scrum penalty after they couldn't score. Quick tap, and then lots of crash balls, and eventually Daryl ran straight at Ma'a Nonu, and then he ran him over for the try, which was kind of like, thank you. We'll take the passing of the torch from here on, Mr. Ma. But yeah, great game. Waterworks were going off for Ma Nonu. And thank you for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts. We'll see you on the weekend for the Bulls game. For the Bulls game. Cheers.